Hello and welcome to Worldly Cuisines Episode 2, Slow Cooker Pork Chili Verde. I wanted to start off by saying this is a modified version of a recipe that I've been making for about 10 years. I'll put a link to the origin of this awesome meal in the video description. These are the ingredients you'll need. I could have used pork bouillon in this recipe, but all I had was beef and it turned out pretty good. You can also use more jalapenos if you want it to be more spicy. If you only use one jalapeno, it turns out pretty mild. I also use minced garlic because it's more convenient, but yeah, you can use cloves if you want to. The first step for this recipe is to wash the peppers and the lime, then husk and wash the tomatillos. While you prep the meal, you can get the pork started in the slow cooker. I set my slow cooker to low and put in the 2 cups of water with the bouillon. After that, rinse the pork and drop it in. It'll be super tender after about 8 hours when this is done. The next thing you want to do is line 2 baking sheets with tin foil. Then chop up the tomatillos in half and put them on one of the sheets. When they cook in the oven, they will release sugars and go from a bitter flavor to very sweet tasting. When that is done, you can start cutting the peppers and removing the seeds and veins. If you leave the seeds in, it'll make it a bit more spicy. You want to remove the veins as much as possible. They tend to take away from the flavor and they don't blend up all that well. You want to cut the Anaheim chili peppers in half and remove everything on the inside. These peppers will char in the oven, and when they're done you want to let them sit in a container. This will make it easier for you to remove their outside skin. This makes them very tender and very tasty in the mix. When you have all the peppers and tomatillos cut and put on a pan, stick them in a preheated oven at 450 degrees. When the tomatillos turn golden brown, they are ready to come out. The Anaheim chili peppers will need to be slightly charred on the outside, but not too much or they'll dry out. While the peppers are getting toasty, you can chop up about a cup's worth of onion. The cuts don't have to be perfect, just good enough to get blended up evenly. The next task is to zest a lime to squeeze the juice. I put my zester over my container of chopped onion and got as much as I could off of it. This step really improves the overall flavor, and I recommend getting a zester if you don't have one. When you've collected the zest and juice, put it into a blender with a cup of chopped up onion. Add in 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. I might have been a bit generous and added more than 4 teaspoons here. I like to mix up all my seasoning in a small dish. This way they all get mixed in well together. In goes 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of pepper. Here I'm fixing the wrong measurement of cumin. Oops, it should be 1 tablespoon. When that is in the blender, you can start by chopping up the 2 bunches of cilantro. Remove the stem portions the best you can, and chop them up just good enough to where they mix in well with the blender, and toss them in. When the tomatillos look golden brown like this, it is time for them to come out of the oven and to be added to the blender. Make sure you get all the juice you can. This is where that great chili verde flavor comes from. I had a rogue tomatillo. Besides that, I have to make up a few batches of the mixture because it will not fit in my blender all at once. You want to blend it up the best you can until it's very smooth. When the Anaheim peppers are nice and charred, put them in a bag or container so they get nice and tender. This helps the skin on the peppers to separate, and the next step is to remove all the skin from the chilies the best you can. If you leave them on and they don't get blended up well, they will be stuck in your teeth when you try to eat it, so it's very important to remove them the best you can. The backside of a spoon might help you scrape the skin off. Once you get the skin off, toss the peppers into the blender until it's smooth. Once it's nice and blended, add the mixture to the slow cooker and let it cook on low for about 6 to 8 hours. It took me a few batches to get it all blended up evenly. I also used a large plastic spoon to help mix everything around and ensure everything was being blended up well. After a long session of blending, it was off to the slow cooker. Let it cook on low in the slow cooker for about 6 to 8 hours. About every hour or so, come by and give it a stir, while resisting the urge to eat it. After about 8 hours later, bring an appetite and something comfortable to sleep on after you dig in. This recipe makes quite a bit, but it'll get eaten quite fast, so keep that in mind. After 8 hours, the pork should be super shredded and very tender. Be warned, this chili verde is like kryptonite. Prepare for a snooze after you're done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy some of this most awesome chili verde. Feel free to like, subscribe, and leave comments. Have a great day.